Somebody has to stay awake at night to protect your interest, and no one does it better than the Texas Association of Realtors and its Political Action Committee, Trepac. Trepac stands for Texas Real Estate Political Action Committee, and it is a shining example of just how effective a grassroots organization can be. Year-round, the Trepac trustees and Texas Association of Realtors legislative management team gather member input, your input, and make sure your interests are represented in the Texas legislature and before the Texas Real Estate Commission. Trepac investments are like an insurance policy for our future, protecting us as an industry, protecting us as individuals who make a living in real estate, and protecting the interest of our clients. Without Trepac, who would protect your interest? Because of you and thousands of realtors like you, Trepac is the largest association-sponsored political action committee in Texas. In 2004, we raised more than $1.9 million, and we achieved another milestone during this past fundraising cycle. 45% of all Texas realtors statewide participated in Trepac. Trepac supports political candidates who share our belief that it is vital to preserve private property rights and the free enterprise system in Texas. Electing and supporting the right leaders is critical to keeping homeownership affordable to Texans. It is also critical in protecting your ability to make a living in real estate. In the November 2004 elections, Trepac supported 30 candidates for the U.S. Congress, 5 statewide and judicial candidates, 15 candidates for the Texas Senate, and more than 140 candidates for the Texas House of Representatives. In past elections, Trepac's success rate for candidates it supported has consistently been in the 90% range. It's important to support political candidates who share our views. Previous legislative sessions have produced real threats to our livelihood, including several attempts to tax our real estate commissions to the tune of 8 to 10%. Because of a strong Trepac, we've been able to beat back all of these assaults. But no one's life or property is safe when the legislature is in session. And the 79th Texas Legislature, which begins in January 2005, is bringing bigger challenges than perhaps ever before. Chief among these is lawmakers' dire need to come up with a new way to fund our schools in Texas. The Texas Supreme Court is considering a challenge to the constitutionality of our state's school finance system. The outcome of this case could very well place the political hot potato back in the hands of the legislature, forcing lawmakers to raise your taxes. The big question, where will they get the money? We know the legislature has already had a keen eye on the real estate transaction. During the 78th regular session and in a special session on school finance that adjourned in May 2004, lawmakers considered several funding proposals that would have placed additional taxes on real estate. The scary thing is, these options are still on the table. The first idea was a tax on professional services. Every line item in the settlement statement that represents a professional service, including title searches, inspection fees, and your commissions, would be taxed, according to one proposal, to the tune of 9.25%. This means that a typical buyer would have to come up with thousands of extra dollars at the closing table. That's bad for home sales. It's bad for your livelihood, and it's bad for the Texas economy. But believe it or not, another idea the legislature looked at, a real estate transfer tax, is just as bad, if not worse. Real estate transfer taxes also discourage home sales and price people out of the market. Either of these proposals, if enacted into law, would significantly raise the cost of buying and selling homes in Texas. Now ask yourself, how much of these additional consumer costs would you have to eat? In September 2004, the Texas Association of Realtors conducted a survey of its membership to gauge your attitudes about different options for school funding. Nearly 4,000 members participated in the online poll. Not surprisingly, a vast majority, 94%, oppose a tax on professional services. The same amount, 94%, also oppose a real estate transfer tax. Another school funding option that legislators have considered is expanding gambling in Texas to include casino gambling and then taxing the revenues. 75% of Texas Association of Realtors members favor this approach, as long as voters would have the final say in a statewide referendum. To say that 2005 is an important legislative year would be a colossal understatement. In fact, the 79th Texas Legislature is probably the most critical session our industry has ever faced. We've already mentioned the double threat of tax on services and real estate transfer tax. These are two options that legislators will again be considering in their quest to finance schools while reducing property taxes. The important question to ask our elected leaders is simply, do you really want to jeopardize the one thing, real estate, that has kept the Texas economy going? Your lobby team will remain vigilant to ensure that any new school funding solution is fair and does not disproportionately tax the real estate market. One thing is certain, your help will be needed. When you get a call to action, respond to it. When you get the opportunity to come to Austin for the Legislative Hill visits or for a special lobbying function, do it. Whenever you have a chance to promote Trepac, promote it. While it is true that school funding is foremost on everyone's mind, several Texas Association of Realtors task forces studied a range of other important issues leading up to the 79th Legislature. Broker liability, which among other things recommends amending the Deceptive Trade Practices Act to remove its application in real estate transactions. Insurance, which recommends closing the regulatory loophole relating to the definition of an appliance-related claim to include hoses. Continuing to study credit scoring, and reviewing the state-mandated feasibility study on uninsured motorists. Mortgage finance and lending, which recommends supporting legislation that creates a line of credit for reverse annuity mortgages. Not supporting any change in the home equity constitutional protections, especially any attempt to allow a seasoned loan refinance. Continuing to monitor predatory lending practices, and working with the Texas Savings and Loan Commissioner to enhance the mortgage finance industry through regulatory and legislative initiatives, specifically working with the Commissioner on requiring commitment and pre-approval letters to be used by mortgage bankers. Regulatory and private property rights. This task force recommends working with the Texas Association of Builders on possible legislation relating to vested rights. Continuing to analyze legislation and its impact on the ability of individual property owners to sell parcels of land in 10-acre or less increments. Monitoring legislation relating to TxDOT access management policies and studying Bay Area erosion legislation. Besides school funding and these interim legislative task forces, there are many other issues on Texas Realtors' 2005 legislative agenda, including impact fees for developers, business activity tax, state budget shortfall, workers' comp, water rights, mandatory sales price disclosure, tort reform, downzoning, real estate minimum services, and Rule P53 insurance regulation. The bottom line is that the 79th Texas Legislature will be one of the most important legislative sessions Texans have faced in many decades. Serious issues must be addressed, and lawmakers' decisions will affect your business, your family, and the quality of life in Texas for years to come. Your Trepac dollars will help protect private property rights and ensure that the dream of owning your own home remains an achievable goal for all. For many realtors, it's enough to know that Trepac is working diligently on our behalf, not just at the Capitol, but in the halls of Congress through RPAC and at the local level too. But for other realtors, donating your time is just as rewarding as investing your money. Texas Association of Realtors political affairs programs provide a wide range of opportunities to get involved and get educated. Trepac is one of the most effective grassroots political organizations of its kind because of your efforts and investments. The challenges keep getting bigger, and that's why your participation is so important, now more than ever. Trepac brings together the awesome power of 70,000 Texas realtors, a diverse group with one clear voice. Trepac, working to protect you. So invest in your industry Invest in your future. Invest in Trepac.